Computer here. We will call this meeting to order and stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. All right, just a reminder, if you are here in the auditorium and you want to talk during public speaking time, you need to make sure you're signed in on the legal pad on the podium. And first order of business is approval of April minutes and May claim docket. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to read through those.
I'll make a motion that we approve the April minutes and May claim docket.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
Got a second motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, now we're going to have a public hearing on an additional appropriation for purchasing a tractor. So we are going to actually close our normal business meeting and open a public hearing. And this is to designate the remainder of our ARPA funds to purchasing a tractor slash lawnmower slash backhoe slash whatever else that thing does. But for our using in town for repairing stormwater systems or working with cleanup after maybe disaster issues or other kinds of issues that might be going on in town. Do we have any public comment on this additional appropriation of our ARPA funds in the amount of $59,094.80?
Did they
Diana.
get the bucket truck problem fixed? Wasn't there a problem with the bucket truck?
How is this relevant to
Well, I
the
didn't know if
ARPA funds?
how we were spending that amount of money if we needed a new bucket truck.
The bucket truck works for now.
That was my
That's all.
Gotcha,
That's
okay.
what I'm saying.
All right. Any
You said
other-
69? I thought it was 64 or something.
It is, but only 59,000 is coming out of
Oh,
the
okay.
ARPA fund.
Oh, I thought you said 69.
I can't take more than
No,
what's left in the
I thought you
ARPA
meant the
fund.
price of the tractor was
Sorry.
69. Misunderstood you.
No, we are designating the ARPA money that's remaining to purchase this equipment, since we have to have it designated for something by the end of this December. So it's one of the stipulations of the Treasury Department. All right, any other public comments on this ARPA fund appropriation? Okay, I will close the public hearing and return to our normal business meeting. So for our town council, we have an ordinance that we need to approve for spending this, an additional appropriation of the ARPA funds on this tractor.
A number on it.
On the ordinance,
Yeah.
2024-04.
I make a motion that we accept the ordinance for the new tractor of ordinance 2024-04.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
Got a second motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. We will apply this ARPA fund and this additional appropriation manner for that tractor.
As soon as the state board of accounts says we can,
Yes.
15 days.
Which they're going to tell you, just like they did with the Kubota. Right, I know, but they're going to, because, yeah, they make us jump through these hoops, and we are more than happy to jump through the hoops, aren't we? Tell you, poor Jenny and Judy last week with that website that they,
Oh, I have a copy of that, we finally got that figured out.
oh, good.
We didn't get it figured out, it just went through.
All right, old business, so Pete, we have, item on here, cost of street lights. Did you hear back from Duke Energy?
Yes, I did, and they still do not have me a price yet. And they had two poles in question. One of them they said showed in Hamilton County, so I traced that down today. It's down by Rob's. Someone hit the original pole, and they put a new one up right next to it. And I think what happened is the original old pole has a metal tag on it. And it was 056, 0211. And on the new pole, they put 056, 021. They forgot one number. So
Gotcha.
I sent him an email today. He told me he'd try to get me the cost of everything as soon as he could. He's been busy with storms and all this other.
Sure. They have replaced almost all of the lights in town with the new LEDs. There's still two lights that I noticed last night that were the older style, but
And I think did you bring up about on Western?
Yeah, the
The ones
blue
with the
lights.
blue-
Right.
We
They
can
haven't
get
been
those
replaced.
changed.
they just have to repair those. But I can resubmit them again for repair. But
Well, if we get Dave to quit shooting BB guns, you know.
I tried and I missed.
all right. And so whenever we get information back from Duke, Pete will return to that. Crack seal proposal next.
Got two bids. They bid totally different. Bob Orr bid by the linear foot at 80 cents a foot. Alfred Seal Coating bid by the product with labor included. And by that, like 37 boxes is a half a pallet, $5,000. That's him doing the labor and everything. He stores it. We don't have to store anything. A full pallet is 75 boxes, so you gain one for $10,000. In his proposal, he wanted like 35% and then paid when the work's done. So the best I could figure, if you try to combine the two, it'd take over 6,200 lineal feet to equal 37 boxes at $5,000.
That linear feet is just how much product they're laying down in each crack that they find
Right.
on the street.
Right. Like if he's got a straight 1 foot, that's 80 cents. The best I can figure on that too, if it goes this way, you know, I guess you just take a wheel and walk the street off, and if it's 5,000 feet, it'd be 80 cents times 5,000 feet, no matter how far the cracks went off. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, it's,
So with Bob Orr's, we won't have an idea of cost until after it's measured out.
right.
Is he gonna measure it out before he does it? or
Oh, I
is-
would think so, yeah, 'cause,
Okay.
yeah.
Alfred's is doing it at whatever 37 boxes will cover.
Right. Right.
Is there a shelf life on that stuff?
I asked him that, and he said no. He said that stuff would almost last forever.
Okay.
He brought the bid to my house.
Oh, yeah, it's charges. Yeah.
Well, it seems like both of these companies gave us a bid that leaves a lot of vague
Guesswork.
or guess, right, like it's up in the air. I mean,
Yeah.
they could go, we could ask them, hey, we've got a lot of cracks over here on Ohio and we need, you know, these cracks to be sealed up. And then suddenly they come back and, well, yeah, we used 5 pallets worth of product, or, you know, we measured out that it was, you know, 150,000 linear feet of cracks that we sealed. And then we have no way to budget for that. We have no way to
Right.
kind of, so I don't know, in my mind, I guess I'm trying to figure out, like,
Well, there's all kinds
are
of
there other
variables.
companies that could give us a better, I don't know, what does the county do for crack seal, or Danville or Plainfield, or, I mean, can we maybe check and see what,
What the county does.
right, just so we have an idea
Right.
of, if we're gonna go down this road,
Yeah.
then,
Well, see, there's all kinds of variables. If the crack is, if all of them's a 1/4 inch, you're gonna use less product. If all of them's a 1/2 inch, you're gonna use more. So, you know, that's another variable in there.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think that in order for us to be able to, you know, have an intelligent idea of how much we're going to be spending on this, which obviously we've not ever done this in Clayton before,
No.
so this is kind of our first,
Right.
you know, attempt to even first step. But, you know, if they're not able to give us, you know, like you ask a carpenter and they're gonna tell you this is gonna take so much board feet of, you know, 2x4s, or it's gonna take, you know, they can tell you how much product they're gonna use for a project
Right.
that we've asked them to do. These companies seem like they're gonna say,
Well,
Well,
there again, all the variables is gonna affect how they bid too. I mean, you know, they'd have to physically look at it. You think maybe I should have them come in and say, you and I walk with them and say, okay, how are you gonna bid this right here?
I mean, if we'd get a more precise bid, maybe we need to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I can get them to come in and then, you know, we can walk through it.
Okay? So let's find, you know, one of the streets that they're not gonna work on this summer that has a lot of cracks.
Yeah,
And we'll just pick a block or
Right.
whatever.
yeah.
And we'll say, all right, so give us your best price on what would you charge us to crack seal this
And-
block of Ohio or Pennsylvania, whatever it is that we find.
And then the next guy, the next day, we'll have him. give
Right.
us- Yeah, okay. He'd be more than willing to do that.
All right. Does everybody
Yeah,
agree with that kind of an idea? Just because this seems like,
that way we can blow it up and figure out how much we need per linear foot.
yeah. Obviously, it's gonna change from street to street depending
Oh,
on
yeah.
like how much it's cracked
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff, but you
And
know,
I still don't understand the concept of a linear foot. I mean, hell, if it goes 3 inches this way and 24 inches that way, is he still charging within the same foot?
well, I mean, I would think that he's meaning that as he's filling this crack in the asphalt, that he's measuring that particular crack, and however, you know, just like you would do with your little measuring
Right,
wheel, you
right.
run it along that crack. That's how much it's gonna cost,
Right,
all right?
okay.
Anybody else got any other thoughts or questions on the crack seal proposal? And the only reason that I asked Pete to look into this was a conference we went to in Plainfield. They talked about how, you know, this extends the life of your street by 2 to 3 years. So I thought, you know, it keeps the water out so that it doesn't freeze and cause the road to get worse quicker. All right, let's move on to the next one. Pete, you got info on remodel of the fire department.
You had this.
So I was just looking at it, why
Yeah.
can't I find it?
Yeah. Well, this is for the bathroom only. This is not for the, what they
It's
wanted
not
all
for all
together.
this other 3 pages
No,
of
well,
stuff?
oh, yeah, this is for the bathroom only. It's all new fixtures. part of the expense, as he explained to me, was they have to take the drywall down in the first floor to find the plumbing to do the upstairs, because it's all enclosed in the ceiling.
My thought on this remodeling of the fire station, I know they've been, donated, I think it's 5 acres down there on 39, I believe it is. And I think it's, from what I understand, they're already in the process of getting all their paperwork, which is gonna take a while and everything. And I'm sure they're gonna move down there once they're done, got that. So, you know, that's quite a bit of money to spend on the building, but eventually I think they're gonna, I'm not even sure how soon they're gonna leave.
Your thoughts are you get the sense that they're going to abandon this building 100%, not want to respond out of it at all.
Correct.
Okay.
That's my gut feeling. I would have to talk to their chief and the township trustee and everything, but it would almost make sense that they would.
Yeah, well, there's,
Being probably 75% of the runs or more are out of the town corporation, but I don't know, it's gonna take a while to get that, all the paperwork and start getting building and everything down there, so.
All right. In light of that concept that this building would be abandoned, does it still make it a waste of money for us to do remodel in that building if we would then have another use for it after they leave? Like, would that building become useful to the town in some other way?
Yeah, it would, to me, the building would become a town garage where you could park your equipment in it, because you've got the 3 bays, you've got water, then you've got the 2 back doors you can go in or out. So you got the heat and cooling in there, so being it's our building already anyhow, we would just, but I couldn't tell you a time frame or anything else on any of that. That's just my gut feeling on it.
Yeah, but if we're gonna turn that into a garage, we don't need 2 showers and
No.
4 toilets
No.
and whatever else in there.
no.
I think it's important that we know what their plans are.
Okay, and as far as the communication to you from the fire department, this was their top priority of all those other, I mean, they gave us $100,000
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
worth of work list
Yeah.
before, so,
Cause
but this
I
was,
said, what, you know, right now, $100,000 is, there's no way. What do you want, you know, the next?
and they
most
picked
important-
this bathroom remodel as
Yeah, that's
what
what he
would
said.
be their preference
Yeah,
for the top thing,
yeah.
okay?
Current bathroom, does it need remodeled anyway?
Pardon?
Does the current bathroom need remodeled anyway?
It's pretty sad,
Okay.
yeah.
And
I
but
mean,
they
it's
do
still
have,
functional, but.
they have females now where before
Right.
they
Yeah.
just.
And when you
Well,
look at the appropriation report, where is the money gonna come from? I mean, that's always.
I hear that,
Not in the
right,
back of my mind, in the front of my mind.
sure, right, yeah, I mean, this would,
I mean, this is something, in my opinion, you plan for, you put it in the budget for next year, and then you tell them we'll do it next year. That's just,
yeah, I mean, that would be the best solution with this. I just wanna know, you know, as we move forward, I mean, if we prioritize this, put it in next year's budget, get it started January 1, are they still gonna be in the building long enough for it to make it worthwhile to do that? And if we, if they do end up 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road, moving to a station more center in the township, which their goal in that is the ISO ratings for insurance for properties in the township. If they're in the center of the township, it helps that drop a little bit. That's one of their thought processes with that. So this station obviously is more on the north end of the township. Their other station in Hazelwood's on the south end of the township. So, there's just lots of questions with regards to that. But be great if we had a representative from the fire department here to answer questions if we had some.
Right.
Why don't we go ahead and, as Jenny said, build something into the budget for it, and then we can gather some data on what's actually going on 39 and what they're gonna do. And when it comes time to do this in January, or whenever we're gonna do it, we can either scale this back to the model of one that's there, and maybe not so much, or if we have to go ahead and do this, then we've got money built in to do it.
If that makes sense.
If the bathroom there needs to be done, we may
Yeah.
just scale this back and do the bathroom there.
Yeah,
To
that would-
make use of it for
Yeah.
another purpose,
Right.
hours down the road.
Yeah.
All right, so do you feel comfortable taking that back to your contact at the fire department and saying, all right, the town wants to, explore budget options for next year, trying to do this, but we also need to know what's your time frame for staying in this building versus
Yeah.
moving to another building and abandoning this one? Or, I don't know, if maybe by 3 years, they'll want to respond out of both buildings, I don't know, but it's up to them. And then, like I said, I think it would be great if a representative from the fire department came to talk to us about some of their concerns, issues, what they would like to do, what they are currently doing in the township or in the town.
Right.
It'd be helpful to know.
Like they used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Will the county commissioners have something to say about the facility that's going in on 39, and won't there be some information from the county commissioner's office about anything going on in the funding? Because they're gonna have some additional funding.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, that would probably the funding part would come from
That would also-
county council.
Yeah, that would also
but-
tell us that.
right.
what the
Sure.
Timeline might be through council, not commission.
Yeah,
Well, what I overheard while we was going through, Stockwell and him went to school together, Russell and Stockwell did. And he said, 3 years, but we want to stay in Clayton all the time if we can. That's how he said it,
okay.
so.
So
I
we
don't-
don't have to,
I don't know
we don't have to use Stockwell,
No.
right?
Correct.
I mean,
No, we don't
No,
have
he's
to,
just
no.
the first,
We should
You
have
know.
somebody of our own go in and say, it's not gonna cost $28,000. I can do it for 15 or something,
You can.
all right. Leanne's
Hey.
got,
Have a wonderful floor.
No, I didn't need, I just called
Do a time
Stockwell
with-
up, I said, give me a bid, and then when they got there, they realized they went to school together.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't one of them deals where, but,
Yeah,
right. Well, because, the bid that Chief Russell gave us was from a completely different company.
Right.
So that
Right.
was, but,
but that was a whole shooting match,
right, $100,000.
yeah. 101 something.
All right,
to be exact.
so if you could do that favor for us, Pete, go back to your contact, say we need more information about timeframes. We need, a representative from the fire department to come and answer questions for us, and give us, a monthly report. And then we need, time to put this into next year's budget
Yeah.
over our budget discussions and
Right.
get another bid if we, we can try to find, we can have Leon go over there. She's got her
Start buying your tools.
toolbox. Right, okay.
I'll help you.
Anything else? Anybody else got any other things they want Pete to take back to the fire department for us on this? Okay, thank you, Pete.
Yeah.
All right, next we got job description for utility manager. So last month, George asked if we could change some language. And so I made the changes that he asked for on, under duties, on that first page. Instead of it being the, chlorination chamber, I changed the wording to chlorine contact chamber and dechlorination tank. Per his request. So, any other thoughts or issues on this utility manager job description? All right. I guess at this point, we can probably table it for now. Everybody probably got the email from Jenny earlier. George and Melinda have turned in their notice of resignation, and their last day working for the town will be the 31st of this month. All right.
Has he recommended anybody that he would think?
In the notice that I got, it did say he had a person that he'd be willing to send to us to talk about a potential job.
Yeah.
So I'm all for that. If his contact will submit a resume to Jenny, that would be helpful.
We'll post this on the town website, and then also probably is there a job board? AIM has a job board?
AIM has a job board. The Association of Waterworks also has a job board for wastewater treatment plant operators. So we'll see what we can do to attract some applicants for that. All right, next item on the agenda, ordinance concerning funding of the fire department. So Graham has put together a ordinance for us for essentially this allows for the county to collect taxes on our properties here in town that they haven't been collecting, but they collect from township folks. So Liberty Township folks pay a higher tax for fire EMS and fire equipment replacement fund that the town does not pay. But this ordinance would allow that to occur. It would end up, according to Financial Services Group, when I asked them about this, it would end up being around 7 cents per $100 value on our properties in town. But then everybody in town would be paying the same tax for fire and EMS coverage as everyone around us in the township pays.
And that would cover both the cumulative fund that they've
Yes,
passed, and then also the gap in fire.
fire and EMS
Right.
fund, right. Any other discussion or questions on this ordinance?
And the township has to pass a resolution too,
They do, yes.
which I don't know if they've considered yet, or if they plan to do that, or if that's kind of a moot point.
I'm assuming that they're up to date on that. I've kept in contact with Mr. Butler about the idea of us doing this, so, I mean, I've told him that this is kind of something that we were gonna discuss and look at doing. And Financial Services Group is also the township's financial advisor, so we have kind of a, similar contact there with that, and I know they probably, with knowing Jeff Bellamy, he's probably already kind of on,
Yeah,
helping
I just
him out
had
with that.
talked to him about this, I just
Yeah,
wanted
sure.
to be aware of that.
Yeah.
And the effective date, I wasn't totally sure, but we decided on that, but.
Yeah, I mean, he put in here the effective date for January 1st, 2025, which I think at this late in the year for, taxes and the tax season, that would make sense, because I don't know that they would be able to get the assessment and taxes collected for this year.
That's kind of how I read the statute, because I think you have to pass it before July 1st, so I think the intent is pass it in the summer, and then it takes effect the following January.
That follows that follows other municipalities have done the same thing. That you
That's
know-
what I've seen.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
that's,
And FSG, when, over the last few months with us talking about, how we're gonna deal with this discrepancy, disparity between payment and what Liberty Township, wants for fire and EMS, protection in the town, of all the officials that I talked to at the Department of Local Government Finance, at the county, FSG was the only one who said, hey, why don't you just pass an ordinance? All the other officials just kind of like forgot about it or didn't think we would be interested in it, I guess. So, all right, so we would need to make a firm vote on this next month at the latest to get it enacted by January 1st of 2025.
Unless you have a special meeting.
Okay? So do we want to move forward on a vote tonight, or do we want to give another month of us kind of looking over this and making sure it's the move we want to make?
I'm okay either way.
Well, we have to have fire and emergency protection. There's no doubt about that. So, I'm good
Yeah,
with
the
going
only
with
other
that.
option to this would be us budgeting for it out of our general fund, and then just paying, so, I mean, it would come out of the town's budget, which essentially is taxpayer dollars anyway.
But that's gonna take a hit, other services and plans that we have for the town.
Right.
So, and then that also gets cumbersome down the road by always taking into account that burden.
Right, the taxes and valuation change every year, so we're gonna always be a year behind in getting them the amount of money that they need. Whereas with this, the county assessor is responsible for assessing the value, and then the auditor collects the taxes and gives it to the township.
Well, I'm okay with voting on it tonight or putting it off until the next meeting if we wanted to have some further discussion on it. But either way, I think this is the way to go.
Okay? If you're ready to move forward, I would just need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept ordinance 2024 on -05.
2024-05.
I'll second.
Got a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. And we do have to, we'll get those effective dates changed in there to solidify it or take the highlights out, I guess. And then we do have to file this with the recorder in order for it to get to the auditor and the assessor. All right, next item on the agenda, town cleanup day. John?
That's, we're shooting for June 15th. I talked to Randy, he said it wouldn't be no problem providing the services he gave us last year.
Okay,
And, I'm thinking hours 9 to 2 that day,
all right.
where we had it last year, so
I think I got it on the board at 9 to 3.
9 to 3?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that'll work too.
We get Mr. Pickering?
We,
He said he'd get Johnny to run
Okay.
so,
What's the date?
we,
June 15th.
June 15th. Just as long as that's the hottest day
Okay.
of June. If
Yeah.
it's not,
We'll keep an eye on the.
we'll change it to the, whatever the, right.
For citizens of the town of Clayton.
All right. Next item up is insurance quotes. So Pete, you have info on this.
Kind of behind the 8 ball on this. I just got this information about 20 minutes before the meeting started. And we don't even have the information from our current agency yet. But I asked Miss Jenny, you remember, it was like 24 almost,
It was
right?
around 23, 24,000,
Yeah.
so I'm pretty sure. But this one on this, the 19,520 didn't include workman's comp.
Right, right. And he said it'd be a separate company and it'd be around 2,400, somewhere in there. So it'd still
I think
be,
right now we're paying at least 32.
yeah. And the other company over here that give us the second quote's 31.
Yeah.
So even if we had it at 31, it's still less than what we're paying now.
Okay.
All right, any questions for Pete on his proposal to switch to, what's the name of this insurance company?
Glatfelters?
Glap Filters. That's the name of the company?
Where are they out of?
I don't even know
Are they
that yet.
local?
This is an independent agency I went to. And like I said, I just got this information like 20 minutes before this meeting started, so I really didn't have time to do hardly any research.
When's our insurance due?
June 8th.
June 8th. Well, we can't table it till next month.
No.
Well, and the, one question I had, not too sure if this makes any difference or not. The quote states that this payment plan does not include any applicable taxes, fees, or surcharges. So what potential taxes, fees, or surcharges can be tacked on to this quote?
Well, I can go in there and make a phone call real quick.
I mean, obviously taxes are the standard thing that goes along with everything, but we wouldn't know what the actual payment is until we receive our first invoice, it says. So how confident are we that that's gonna still come underneath the 24,000?
Well, can you move on? Let me make a phone call while you guys are.
We do have to I have on my list that we need to make a budget meeting. I suppose if you wanted to make it before June the 8th, we could discuss it there and we'd have more information then, and
Okay,
that's one thing.
Yeah, that'd work.
all right. let's table this until the budget meeting, and then we can have numbers from NFP also,
Right,
and this company,
hopefully,
and then compare them.
yeah.
All right, so let's table that until our budget meeting. All right, next item on the agenda, resolution concerning CARES Act money. So we have a fund that's our CARES Act. We have $23,733.20 in there. CARES Act fund was passed in 2020. It was for COVID relief, and we made adjustments to our meeting hall in order to accommodate social distancing, and we got the technology of the camera system and being able to broadcast our meetings online and save them that way. Now the CARES Act, the money that we got from that CARES Act was a reimbursement for the work that we did, and this money needs to go back into whatever fund that came out of that we paid for all the work. So we just need a
Motion.
resolution to move that money back into whatever the fund was. Which, Jenny, were you able to find where that
I
money?
didn't know what you meant.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea what you were talking about.
All right. So yeah, the wind was it?
We probably took it out
Cruise?
of, probably CCI, I would think. The cumulative capital improvement, when we did all these improvements.
But
I'll just
we don't have to
go
do
back
it.
and see.
We don't have to do it immediately. It's just that's what FSG said needs to happen to this at some point. So we just have to get it put back into that fund that we spent to do all the work. We bought these new conference tables. We put all the electronics in. We closed up. There was a closet over there. We closed that up and then put our electronics in there. All that different work that we did was what we got this CARES Act money for, and it was to reimburse us.
Okay.
So we just have to put this back in there. But they're not in any hurry. Like FSG said we weren't like on a time crunch to get it done. Just that's where that's supposed to go. Any other questions on that CARES Act fund?
Do we have the money, or are they just waiting for us to tell them where we should put it?
No, it's, yeah, they sent it to us, and
Yeah,
then
we
Jenny
have
created
the
this fund to put it in,
Or we should-
because at the time,
We need to take it, like, if it's, like, we've got 23,000,
Right.
we need to put it in whatever fund down here that we, I understand now. I didn't understand.
sorry, I thought we talked about it at one point, but obviously I remember in a different event, but whenever we can get that,
Oh, because
figure
I
that
had
out.
forgotten.
No?
Just
No?
She takes breaks.
Of course not. All right. Next item on the agenda, radar speed limit signs. So, Brian, glad you're here. The Department of Transportation denied my new permit request to put the speed limit signs back up on 39. Their big thing was I get the sense in all the language that they're telling me is it's a liability issue, which I don't understand, but they think the town is going to go after the Department of Transportation if something bad happens to the signs or people because of the sign. And I'm like, I'll sign whatever waiver you want me to sign. We're not gonna bother the state if something happens. But they also, with this permit request, they sent me a form to fill out on what project are you working on in town that requires speed limit signs to be put up. And I'm like, well, we're the project of we want motorists to drive the speed limit.
Can you just write none and mail it back to them?
Well, I actually called them and they were like, no, you have to have an actual project in mind. So anyway, we gotta go about this a different way, I guess. I don't know if there's something maybe we can sit down with Graham and try to understand what's the code what's the Indiana law that's preventing us from being able to put signs up on our streets with that. But now we can put those signs up anywhere else in town, just can't be on 39 right now. So,
Well, can we tell them that what we're trying to aim for is to lower the speed of, traffic going through the school, past the school?
I mean,
I mean, that-
they would probably have to be closer to the school zone
Oh.
for that. Because remember a couple years ago, they moved that school zone's sign because they said that it was too far away from the actual school and that people were, what'd they call it? People were getting, they used some term, basically they were like, oh, I've been past the sign far enough, clearly I'm out of the
forgot that
school
there was
zone,
a
so they'd
school.
speed back up, whatever that term was they used,
Yeah.
but, so, yeah, I don't know. I thought the signs were cool, and I've seen them in other communities, other towns, and,
How much they cost us to buy them?
$6,600 for the two of them, but anyway, we can still use them, we just can't use them on 39 right now until we figure out something else, and I don't know if there's some other way to make this request or figure out why the Department of Transportation has this rule about these have to be permitted signs instead of just put up, but
Yeah, they're definitely Indiana code. You know, Indiana code specifies everything you can think of about the sign, you know, font, size, color. I read last month and looked into the Indiana traffic code to see if there was anything that designated these sorts of signs, and there's nothing that governs, you know, the use. But we can certainly have that discussion.
yeah, and I mean, 3 years ago when we first put them up, you know, they wanted to make sure I put them up with the breakaway poles, which we did. They wanted to make sure it was following the manual for uniform traffic control devices, so I measured, you know, distance from the curb of the sidewalk, that it was the appropriate distance, that it was, the bottom of the sign had to be 7 feet off the ground, you know, all those things that the manual says, but I don't know, this, when they sent me in January, they said these signs are in violation and your permit's expired. So I went through the process of just reapplying and they said denied.
Does that apply to private property?
I mean, the
The sign?
property that I had them on was
State,
private
yeah.
property. No, it was far enough off that it was outside of the actual easement of the road. Because it had to be 7 feet from the curb,
Yeah.
which would have been, down here it was
Yeah.
basically on the apartment property, and up here it was on that farmer, Bob Scher's
Yeah.
property. So, but they just don't, they don't want it like impeding traffic. I don't know. Anyway,
Can you
Brian, if
ask-
we can work on trying to figure out, I don't know if maybe because I talked to the inspector, and the inspector said I was told to, you know, tell you to take them down, and that that you had to have a project in progress in town to have those signs up.
Given the investment the town made, we can talk about moving them to somewhere in town that, you know, still achieves the goal of, you know, governing traffic. I know it's not what we had hoped on 39, until we can have the conversation about how to get them back on 39. I think maybe that's one avenue we can discuss for sure. And if, in the meantime, I can designate our patrol officers to focus on, we already do, but to focus on 39 coming in and out of town, to ensure that, you know, we're doing our best to act as the sign would, while we're out. Hopefully that'll help some too.
Okay. All right, so I'm not gonna give up, but we just have to find some other way to go about it, but I'll work with you guys, and I might involve Graham in some
Curious to
legalese.
see what I'd be curious to see what the state designates as a project project, like how they define a project on 39 and what constitutes that, how long it has to be going on, that sort of thing. I wonder if there's, anyways, that's
Well,
a conversation we can have later.
I thought that was pretty weird anyway, because
Yeah,
the
it
town
exists. Yeah.
can't do a project on State Road 39. We're not, I mean, it's not our road, so I don't know, we're not allowed to do any work on
And
39.
I'm sure you can too, but I can cite examples of those specific make and model signs in other communities that don't fit the definition that the state is using to deny, us having the signs up. It is confusing.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep working on that. Okay, next item on the agenda here is the C1, D1 trunk line repair progress and the easement issue. So Graham sent an email about the easement assessment that was done by the company that basically gave us a price tag on here's how much this easement should cost us, and then the steps there. Did anybody have any questions for Graham on that process, or?
You guys okay with the appraised value, making that offer?
What is our value? Did it go up?
The appraised value came in at
29, 25?
25. I mean, I personally kind of was thinking round it up to 3,000. That was pretty darn close, so just round it up to 3,000.
Okay.
And then send the property owner a letter stating that that's the price that we're willing to pay for the easement.
Mhm.
You need a motion?
Yeah,
Yes.
why don't we? Yeah.
Yes.
I make a motion to accept the proposal Graham has posted.
At the $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got a first motion.
I'll second.
I got a second motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Um,
Okay. All right. We'll send our letter. All right. New business. Approval of additional appropriation. Oh, we already did that, didn't we?
Yep.
Sorry, we skipped ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I got a Kristen Nail for Vandalia Trail. Kristen?
will defer to Ryan.
Ryan Lemley. Front and center, sir.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Limley. I'm the superintendent of Hendricks County Parks. I'm in front of you today to present, hopefully, the green light to proceed with the eastern expansion of the Vandalia Trail and provide you a background of our progress. So with me this evening is Kristen Nail and Jeff. They're with Align. They're our partners, engineering partners on the trail. So I have had discussion with the Planning and Building Commission, I believe you call it. I think Jeff or Doug, you were involved with that. We have made progress with the eastern expansion of the Vandalia Trail, but essentially we've divided that into two phases. We have ARPA funding that we have to utilize in the near future, and we also have continual issues with easements, and we've made some progress on those, but we still have some hurdles to overcome to get to the town of Amo. Hopefully you have received the plans. I've also provided Pete an update. My park manager and I came out a couple of months ago to provide an update on where we were at with this project. So essentially the county commissioners and the ARPA committee provided us $990,000, just shy of $1 million, to expand the Vandalia Trail. We have submitted numerous grant requests, large-scale grant requests to the state of Indiana, next level trails. For whatever reason, we were not successful in those. We do have a minor land ownership void bordering County Road 250 West that we cannot acquire, and it's my hypothesis that's why we're not getting the grant. So the park board and our administrative team have made the decision to divide this project into two phases. the phase today that I'm presenting to you for consideration is essentially Lambert Park trailhead. It would extend through Lambert Park. We would put a wetland boardwalk in. We would connect to an easement that we purchased from Tony Moraine, and then we would run along 500 South to Michigan Street. So that's what I'm proposing to you this evening. We do have finalized plans. We did forward those to Pete. Our staff reviewed those. We had a couple of minor revisions yesterday. But we are simply preparing for construction bids if we have your green light to proceed. We estimate this particular project is probably in the ballpark of $600,000. We have not bid it out yet. I'll go over a tentative timeline here quickly. Phase 2 would be from Michigan Street to South County Road 250 West. It would be just shy of that, so it's Mr. Pringle that we're having a hurdle getting that easement. We've made numerous offers. His parcel is currently up for auction right now, so that is essentially outside of your town limits, but I wanted to provide you an update on that. All of the other land is acquired up to that point. Our park board acquired that in 2019 upon my arrival. So phase 2, again, we have an easement hurdle, but we're going to apply for a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant in August of this year. We're going to ask for about $900,000, and then we would match $900,000 to get to that point of phase 2. So phase 3 would be a connecting phase to the town of Amo. That is our long-term vision. So back to phase 1, what we are proposing, hopefully for approval today, and then I'll go over our tentative timeline for construction. It's essentially a trailhead parking lot in Lambert Park that connects off of the entrance of your park. It's a dedicated 12 spaces, so we still want folks to utilize Lambert Town Park, but we would have a separate parking lot that we would provide as part of this project. It does have a handicap space. We also have signage that is included in this project. It's essentially a 10-foot wide asphalt trail. So this will be an asphalt parking lot, an asphalt trail that leads from the trailhead parking lot essentially to the wetland boardwalk that connects to Tony Moraine's. We would have a prefabbed boardwalk that goes through that area, then a 10-foot wide asphalt trail that connects to County Road 500 South along Tony Moraine, the easement we have, and then to Michigan Street. So that would conclude phase 1. We also have a concrete sidewalk that connects to the pavilion and restrooms on the backside. So there's a connecting feature there. I briefly talked to Pete about who would take care of the section inside the park, and it's not an added maintenance concern, I don't think, for your staff, but I'm not asking for any supporting funding. We're simply wanting to get the ball rolling on this project as soon as possible. It's been a long time in the works. This started way before I got here, but I'm ready to get the ball rolling, and hopefully that opens the door for future communication with landowners, and we can continue to expand from here. If this is approved by you folks this evening, pending a couple of minor things with our engineering team, I plan to present this to our park board on June 5th, the actual bid packets for this project. And then we would have pre-bid meeting June 19th at Lambert Park. The bids would close July 2nd, and I would reveal the bids to the park board on July 3rd. Pending any setbacks, we would drop that back a month. At that point, I would recommend to our park board that we accept low bid of the project, pending that they meet all requirements within the bid packet. And then we would be prepared to move forward with awarding that vendor at that point in time, setting our meetings up in-house. Of course, I would keep Pete involved with the communication that we have progress. But essentially, we want to have, I will call it substantial completion by November of this year. And then we would close out the project as of June 1st is our tentative timeline of next year. So that's coming in, putting sod down, finishing up maybe asphalt approaches to the boardwalk in the back of Lambert Park. But again, we want to be good neighbors. We want to make this happen as soon as possible with our ARPA funding. This is going to take the meat and potatoes of our ARPA funding, and then we'll pursue grants outside of that. So I think it's been, I didn't write the date down, maybe a year and a half ago, I presented to the Planning and Building Commission. We have the desired route that they desired, and we changed that, and we worked with Tony Moraine to make sure we could acquire an easement through him. And we've also acquired an easement through Charles Arnold to cross the road, as Tony had a desire for in the Plan Commission. And then we'll divert through what was previously the Buck Arnold property. So I don't know if you have any questions for me, technical questions on the design of the trail itself. I can answer those, or engineering team, either or.
Now, there's 2 sewer pipes along both directions, the north-south road and the east-west. So is your asphalt walkway going right over the top of that asset, or is it next to it?
Can I defer to you, Kristen? Jeff?
I believe where the path will be, portions of that sewer will be under the path. So if future maintenance of that sewer were required, we may be digging through that asphalt.
Okay.
In some of those locations. The current design along the roadway almost will mimic a sidewalk. Our current proposal is along 500 South. There would be a curb, we would put in a curb, and then the path would be offset by 3 to 5 feet, and then there'd be the 10-foot paved pathway. So, looks-wise, it'll look like a 10-foot wide sidewalk. So anything that's there within 5 to 10 feet off of your existing asphalt may lie into that path.
Yeah, because of what new sewer from Cascades coming along there.
Yep. Our park
I think
board,
it's-
know, told them that
I think
easement
it's further
should
than-
come in. Yep.
10 feet from the side of the road, though. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, as long as it's, and the asphalt will continue to be owned by the Hendricks County Park Board, right? I mean, that's not gonna be Clayton's asphalt, it'll be yours.
Correct. That easement is owned by our park board along Tony Moraine. That's
Okay.
what you're referring to.
So if we have to excavate our sewer pipe, we would need to coordinate and talk to you guys about, we're digging through your asphalt and
Correct.
to do work.
Yeah, how to make
Okay.
that right. It would be ideal if you have to do that, if the contractor could fix it, but if you come to me and talk to me, we could present that to our park board and figure something out there. So,
Okay.
yeah,
As long as I know, make sure that in the future, we know who to communicate with if we're destroying the asphalt and then repairing it.
yeah.
So that's
I would
making
be
sure
your
that we're
point of
doing that.
contact and then can filter that through our park board.
And then your construction of the pathway isn't gonna jeopardize the run from high school here in any way? Shouldn't.
It should not at all. Like I said, our park board sold the school a large easement to get the sewage line to this location. So, no, I don't think it should.
So you're aware of all where it's at?
And
Yes.
it's not very deep over there on that. I mean, it's a super shallow sewer pipe over on that part on 500. So
Okay,
just making sure you guys understand it's not a 10-foot deep one. I think it's 3 to 5 feet somewhere in there. It's pretty shallow.
okay.
So you can pop those manholes over there and look at it. It's literally, you could reach down and touch the bottom of the tower with your hand, so
Okay.
without climbing in.
Sure.
All right. Not that you want to touch it. I'm just saying. I saw the look on your face. Not that you want to touch it. You just could.
We
But-
don't either, no.
All right. And then any lighting going along with this trail that goes through the?
We do not have that on this scope of work, no.
Okay.
No.
Any other questions? No. Comments? Okay. So do we want to give approval for phase 1?
That's what we
Right?
call
That's
phase
all
one.
we're
Yep,
dealing with tonight is phase 1 of the Vandalia Trail Eastern
eastern expansion.
expansion.
Yep.
I make a motion, we accept the proposal for the Eastern Expansion.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second it.
Got a second motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thank you very much. We
Okay,
appreciate it.
thank you.
Hopefully it's a blessing to the town and everyone surrounding. So it's been a long time in the works, so thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. All right, we already talked about the resolution, so we can skip that one. All right, formation of a redevelopment commission for a TIF district. So I sent you guys an email after kind of doing some research. What sparked this was I got informed recently that Mr. Penner has been talking to a developer about his 60 acres on the south side between his our wastewater treatment plant and 39 and the Christian church and that. The talks have gotten serious enough that the developer was asking about water service. He doesn't want to drill a well for each house that he builds. He wants a water service. So he was talking to Plainfield and Indianapolis Water Company, and I'm a little leery about letting a neighborhood in Clayton get water service from another community where we have no way of controlling the water rates. So obviously, if Clayton developed a utility and the citizens in Clayton don't like what the town council's doing for that rate, they can vote for somebody different. If Plainfield's controlling the rate, we have no way of voting for a Plainfield board member. So we have no control over that. Same with a private water company. They can set whatever rate they want, and nobody in Clayton has any pushback or control over what happens. However, Clayton also doesn't have $10 million to start building a water tower and putting in subterranean main lines and stuff for a water service. So what a redevelopment commission and a TIF district would do for us is, if we were able to move through that process, those steps, is we create this TIF district in the geographic location of Mr. Penner's property, and then propose to the developer, which it's Arbor Homes, right? Am I saying that right? Arbor Homes. So we propose to the developer, Arbor Homes, and say, you put in a water tower and a well and supply the subterranean pipes for that neighborhood that you're developing. And then the TIF district language would be that as the property values increase and the taxes go up, then part of that money that gets collected for that new property value would then return back to the developer, back to Arbor Homes, over a 23-year period of time, to pay them back for the expense that they put forward on building a water tower. So again, this is just,
And the water tower would be the town of Clayton's property then, or?
yeah, after we
asset.
pay for it, right? After all those years of the TIF money going to the developer, then it would change hands into be our property once we've finished paying it off. We essentially would get a loan from the developer, and then with the TIF money, pay them back.
But
Still don't
all
get
them
it.
homes would have to still go through the wastewater plant, Clayton's wastewater plant,
Correct.
Either way.
either way, and you wouldn't have no control over, if they didn't pay their wastewater thing, but they would still have city water through their developer if we didn't go one way or another. Where would all this go? I mean, we can't shut their water off.
Well, the developer wouldn't maintain control, or we would develop, or we would create our own Clayton utility service for providing water. So, and the developer wouldn't maintain control over that. It would just be their property until we finish paying it off. But we would control the service. And so we could turn their water off if we needed to. And we could control, within that group, the sewer rate as well, because the way towns, municipalities with both water and sewer, you can adjust the sewer rate based on how much water they use. Right. So we would have that benefit as well. So it's just a matter of a way to proposed, and I don't know if the developer would even be open to this. So we're still in very beginnings of baby steps in this talk. I just, my first like cringe when I heard, this information was that he's going to bring in this water from an outside municipality or some other service to Clayton, and then our Clayton residents have no
Have-
way to get.
Is there a number for housing, how many houses allegedly they're talking about?
I don't know. I know Tuesday, Jimmy Hawk, who he does a lot of development stuff, he said that you put a house on every quarter acre, 60 acres, you can almost have, 350 homes. Obviously, you have to do,
You get your roundabout then.
you have to have the pond, the retention pond, you have to have the streets and so you can't say it's all, it can't all be houses. So it won't be 360, but it could be,
Would it be another existing road come in off of 39 or 0? Because, we're talking about the road now going to the sewer plant becoming the town street. So that would be,
I would guess it'd be more than one entrance.
yeah, and those things would be, engineers would spend lots and lots of time going over like how we're gonna organize this neighborhood, where streets are gonna be, where's your collector streets, where's your main access points, and that kind of stuff. So that part is way down the road also. But I was just kind of thinking, can we have a discussion about, this redevelopment commission idea, this, proposing a TIF district that would have language in it that would encourage the developer to build that water tower for us and just put in the main lines, and then they get paid, not, out of, our own budget or a loan that we get, but they get paid in future income from that TIF money when those property values shoot up by you're putting a home on it now.
I think it's a good idea. This topic's gonna come up over and over again moving forward anyway, so I think we should go ahead and do something like this. And have it, form a commission and have that all underway.
And from what I was reading, I didn't get to read extensively about redevelopment commission, but I read some. They have to be residents in Clayton to be on the redevelopment commission. We as the town council would appoint them, and there'd be a 5-person board, and then they only have to meet once a year. That's the minimum amount of time they have to meet. So they could meet, it wouldn't necessarily be a real extensive, amount of work or effort. But once they get started, that we'll give them this task of, you gotta come up with some ideas to get a developer interested in putting in water system. And they could make the water system to the point of the town could connect and move those main lines into the rest of Clayton as we want to, or as we need to. But anyway, there's a lot of detailed steps in forming a redevelopment commission. I know with my first kind of reaching out, asking for questions, there were a lot of helpful people that emailed me. Adam Stewart sent me the TIF handbook that I emailed to everybody, and he said he's done this quite extensively. That's a law firm, so they would have to, Graham and this Adam Stewart would have to work together and the legal language and stuff, but so it would be costly. So it's not something, again, we can't do that 2024 yet, because we're gonna have to budget for this. And,
So
Go
on
ahead.
that, on that topic, I talked to Adam about, he does a lot of this work. And he suggested two things. One, get FSG, the financial advisor, involved very early in the process. And number two, propose an expense reimbursement agreement to the developer, so that regardless of whether the deal closes, just while we're exploring the TIF, the developer pays all professional fees. And he said if they balk at that, then they're probably not serious, or they're, I didn't tell him I didn't know it was Harvard, but he said they're probably not a very legitimate developer. So that's a thought, just so that you're not having to come out of pocket significant amounts of money.
and I haven't had a chance to talk to the developer at all. I think Pete, you talked to him, right? So, but, you know, we'd have to, again, move forward with, the appropriate steps and try to figure out, you know, what's the timeline involved in this, and how can we, you know, start that process with next year's budget, FSG involved, and, you guys figuring out the language for us. All right, any other questions or thoughts? All right, so, I know Dave said he's all for this. I'm, of course, all for a redevelopment commission, but anybody, John or Leanne, got any thoughts on whether or not?
I'm for it,
Okay,
yeah.
thumbs up?
I'm just,
And again, we don't
Yeah.
have to decide this
Yeah.
tonight, it's just kind of
Yeah.
like the beginnings of, you know, when I heard that this conversation had moved to the developer wanting to get water,
Yeah.
that just sparked my, like, okay, I gotta at least start looking into some options, because I would rather Clayton be in charge of that water service to our Clayton homes, our Clayton residents, than some other entity. All right, so, what kind of as far as you understand, Graham, what are our first steps at this point? I mean, do we need to talk to Adam and say,
Yeah,
and then FSG, and we're gonna put this in next year's budget, or maybe FSG needs to just say, how do we put it in next year's budget, or?
yeah, I think it's a matter of getting with them and saying there's interest on the town side, what do we need to do, basically.
Okay. All right, Pete, since you talked with the developer already, can you contact the developer and just tell them kind of what we initially talked about with this, or if,
You can get ahold of James too.
sure, yeah, and if, you know, we need to all sit down together and talk about it, we can, just so that everybody's comfortable with what we're doing. I mean,
Last time I talked to James about it, he said the guy is kind of pushy and he don't like dealing with pushy people.
I can understand that. James is kind of pushy sometimes, so that's probably why he doesn't like dealing with pushy people. Anyway, all right. Well, let's go with that. I'll reach out to FSG, and you'll reach out to the developer. And if we need to, you know, talk some more, we can chit chat about what do we want to do for our first steps here. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Very good. IMGIS is up for renewal in July. That's the software online program we use for kind of our map of our subterranean sewer, sanitary sewer collection system, and where our manholes are located and that kind of thing. So far, we haven't gotten an extensive amount of use out of this. So I just wanted to see, are we wanting to renew this and figure out how to use it better? Or do we think that this is not something, I know when we first got it, Mindy did a lot of work on, because the sewer pipes weren't in the correct spot on the map that IMGIS did. So she adjusted a lot of that and worked on that. But I don't know what our thoughts are with moving forward.
I think we should renew it because especially with George now, it's got historical data in it that we need access, and with George not being here, as a new person, will need to have access to that information and make it as a useful tool, and perhaps use it more maybe,
Okay.
so. How long was the last term?
3 years.
3, okay.
Yeah, same as this one. So I gave everybody a copy of that. So it's essentially $3,150 every year to have access to that and use it. Now their engineers will help us with moving stuff around. I know Mindy was pretty proficient at using that, and I'm not. But you can like contact them, and they have help people who will adjust stuff with you. So we can use it more, and I know Pete's got an iPad in his office that has this on there, and that he can walk around town and use it going from manhole to manhole, or where the sewer pipes are at, update it.
Is this strictly for the sewer lines and wastewater?
Currently, that's all we have on there, but you can add other things.
So
We
if
could
we
add,
go with the water,
right?
we could add it to this?
Yes, we could add the water. We could even add, like this summer, we're gonna have Midwest paving. Midwest paving's gonna start on the CCMG projects. We could add which streets they just milled and resurfaced. We could add our stormwater. We could add stop signs and speed limit signs where we've replaced those. Or I mean, it's really has a lot of options. Like I said, we just haven't used it yet. So
And you gotta kind of self-teach yourself too. It's, I used it just the other day.
okay. I mean, they will help us if you need to call them and say, hey, I want to move this
Right.
or add some information here or something like that. They can enter information for you.
And we could put stuff from the Daily Trail on there, so
We can
know
put the Vandalia Trail
what
on.
their
Yep.
easements are and
Yes.
all that kind of.
Yeah, it has multiple layers of information that you can stack on there for all the different utilities and services that we do in town.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Maybe we can utilize it a little bit more than,
I know they send me an email once a month, say you haven't logged in, and so I'll log in real quick and get, but,
Well, I'll make a motion that we renew this contract.
okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
Got a second motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll renew that. I'll send them a copy of that. All right. Next item on the agenda, transfer of funds.
It's transferring 5,000, whatever the amount is left over for the, purchase of the tractor. Hang on.
Sorry. From the Economic Development Fund?
$5,413.10.
Okay.
We're taking the rest of it out of park fund.
Okay.
So we're moving it from the assistant town manager pay, since there is one,
Gotcha.
into miscellaneous improvements. So it's $5,413.10, just in the park fund, edit fund.
Okay.
Is that it? I make a motion that we accept that transfer of funds.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
Got a second motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, very good. All right, next on the agenda, Pete Engrick. You got anything else to add?
Try to make short and sweet.
thanks to D&D, we got the building at the food pantry. And we've been doing servicing our equipment. We just got the UTV back. I'm gonna call Caterpillar where we bought it and see if we can do it ourselves, because that was quite expensive to have it serviced.
What'd they do for it?
Changed all the fluids, all the filters, and I just thought it was outrageous myself. But I had to follow protocol to keep our warranty good. So that's why I'm gonna call the dealer that we bought it off of and say, hey, what do we need to do to prove that we're maintaining if we do it ourselves? Because we'd probably do it for less than half.
Okay. I'm all for saving money, so yeah, if you
Yeah.
find out from them.
We got the park sign put back up. It broke off. We don't have the light fixed yet. Waiting on John for that.
Okay.
And we issued 2 permits in April. One was to the liquor store for their angled parking, and one was to 4870 Parker Street for some minor remodel. And Midwest Paving called me, and they're ready to start both projects first part of June.
Okay.
So we'll be getting sidewalks and roads here next month.
All right. And you had the pre-construction meetings with them already,
yet,
and
no.
okay. All right.
No, but they did call
Just
me and tell me
making
they
sure
was gonna try to get going first part of June.
Okay.
All right.
And then I got a question for you, Pete.
Sure.
On. Oh, never mind. You answered it. Never mind. That's all right. You answered it. You got a
I
question
have
for
a
Pete.
question for Pete.
Okay.
Potholes and stuff all down through Amo Clayton Road.
That's actually county, right? Didn't we get into that on pushing snow?
Well, county stops at Michigan, and then that's ours. The rest of 500 is ours from Michigan.
Yeah, the county used to push it years ago.
Right.
and then- Yeah, okay.
But
Gotcha.
once you pass Michigan, that's
Yeah.
ours.
Well, we got enough we can take care of that.
I know there's,
Yeah,
Quite a
there's
few.
quite a few.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Pete? All right. Thank you. I got George Burnett, but he's not here tonight. And Brian, I have Thomas Remender, but I'm sure you're going to fill in for him.
I am.
Okay.
Thomas is a nice guy, but I'm not Thomas. Chief Remender. So the Clayton Police Department has a couple updates for you all. We have Music in the Park starting up. I'm going to give you all those dates. I think you have them, but in case you don't, June 14th, July 19th, and August 16th. Chief Remender had an injury a couple months ago. Well, he's going on 2 months now. So I'm filling in for him for any major department business with Captain Richardson as well. So he and I are completing any tasks that he would be doing otherwise. He's okay. He's doing all right. It's just taking a little longer to get back on his feet, quite literally. But just an update that June 14th is coming up quick. We have a couple bands that we've reached out to in the last couple days about playing, and so once that's decided, we can move forward with that event. Same process as last year and years prior for the July 19th and August 16th dates as well. Next, just some general comments about patrol. So we had the solar eclipse. That's technically been 2 meetings ago, I guess we would have covered, but I wasn't here the last meeting and I didn't know if it was covered, so I wanted to say that we had almost all of our officers out. It was, as much of a non-event from a public safety, criminal justice standpoint as it could be, really across Marion County and all the bubble counties, really central Indiana. All the police departments throughout the state had a lot of pre-work for that, and we're expecting a lot larger crowds. I think we had crowds, but it wasn't traffic related. There weren't as many traffic related concerns. So that was good. That it was a really positive celebration. It was nice to be out in the town and see folks really excited, and a pretty cool event to experience too. Candidly, I didn't quite get it until it happened, and then it was pretty cool. So And then we had Deputy Fizzler, worked for the county. He died in the line of duty last month. I'm sure all of you are aware. So the Clayton Police Department attended his funeral, and then we also covered shifts for the county. Just notes for you all. I've unfortunately worked through several of those in my career, and if you're not the agency immediately impacted, sort of the gesture is that you work for the department that is, shifts don't stop, calls don't stop. We're all, still busy responding. So we offered our services during that. There were no issues, but just comments. And then D&D helped us with new tires for one of the patrol vehicles. They got us enrolled in a government pricing group for new tires. No other real updates to vehicles. I do have an equipment update. We had requested donation for firearms for the department. The department has older weapons, and not everybody has the same make and model. It's just sort of best practice that everybody carries the same model when they're on duty, and that's something that the town, I don't think, has ever had, at least across the spectrum of all the reserves and deputies that are here. And I'm pleased to report that we received a donation of 15 firearms from the U.S. Department of Probation. Pretty significant value. We were able to confirm that some of them are new and that they're certainly in very good condition. They've been inspected twice by a certified armor for that type of weapon. Again, just best practice, standard practice for this sort of thing. And then once officers can go and qualify with those weapons, they'll be in service. So just updates for you all. But it was something that we were prepared to come to the council and propose some help with funding because it needed to happen. And then to be able to get this covered was a big win, and we're very thankful for it. So we got those yesterday, and Chief Remender and I came out and inspected them ourselves and got them cataloged and organized and all that. So those will be in service pretty soon.
Who was the donation from?
The U.S. Department of Probation. It's a federal group downtown. Gotcha.
.40 caliber?
They are. Yeah. They are. And then lastly, so Chief Remender and I had some discussion some months ago about the potential of adding a couple new reserves to the town. We talked about how you do that, what kind of a process you need to put together to hire police officers. That was a hat that I wore in the department that I previously worked for. So there are some, regulations that we have to follow by the state. 2 months ago, we started an advertisement on the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy website. It's just kind of the common place for everybody in the state. And we received quite a few applications, over 40 interest emails, and then we had over 20 return applications. Chief Remender and I went through and evaluated those, and we are scheduling interviews for the middle to end of May, so here in the next couple weeks. More to come on that. I don't really have anything else other than I would anticipate that there will be some cost associated with bringing folks in, things like drug tests, some paperwork needs with the state, and then some basic equipment needs. If we can't cover those, we're obviously hoping that we can through our normal budget, but if we can't, we'll let you all know, and we may need some help. But otherwise, looking to add, there's some great candidates that already have significant amount of police experience that we know professionally from other agencies and past working that would be we think a great fit for the town. And then some folks we obviously don't know that we're hoping to interview and identify some good candidates. Any questions about any of that? Hiring, equipment, general activities?
I had a question about parking in town. I know probably the last thing your officers want to be involved in is parking duty, but there seems to be a lot more of kind of just random parking in places that, like, right up against the stop sign in front of the Clayton food store, as well as the liquor store. The liquor store is getting really bad. People are parking up like on the sidewalk against the doors to go in and shop, and then,
Okay.
and so it's just,
Drunk when they pull up,
I don't know, but they just are like, I mean, there'll be bumper to bumper, along, or zero,
Yeah.
and then, on to Kentucky, and I just didn't know if that was something that was kind of on your radar to start looking at, or when your folks are on patrol, think about, and I don't necessarily think we need a lot of tickets or towing, but maybe warnings of, hey,
Sure.
you guys are really, especially at the intersection here at the four-way stop,
Yeah.
people parked that close to the stop signs are creating, difficulties of other people that are trying to proceed through this intersection instead of,
Yeah, we can, we're aware. We have,
Okay.
we've had some conversations with the liquor store owner, all positive, but just, reminding them that they need to make sure they lock up and follow normal procedures, and that we can add the conversation of reminding their patrons to be respectful about how and where to park, and we can designate officers check those areas. I think they already are, but we'll double check that they're doing
Sure.
that.
and I couldn't, if I were running that business, I wouldn't know that somebody parked
Sure.
illegally on zero, because
Right.
I can't see that from if I'm running the cash register in the store.
Right.
So that, I don't want necessarily to think they have to come out and police the parking themselves.
Right.
It's just a matter of thinking, can there be enough of a publicity, kind of an idea of, hey, just a warning, you're parked illegally here. Or, I don't know, maybe the town needs better signage or more paint on the curb or something. I don't know what else would happen.
You're talking about on the west end of the building.
Right, yeah, so,
That's where he's gonna put that angle parking in.
but he can't, but he has to be further than 20 feet away from the stop sign according to state law. You can't park right on the stop sign. Even like the daycare center sometimes,
Yeah,
they
I've seen-
park right up against the stop sign, which is, they have to be 20 feet back according to state law. So
I'll double check and see if we have printed warning tickets, and if we don't, maybe that's something we can look at designing and purchasing. It's not
okay.
difficult to do.
Or, do they make a sign that's just no parking between here and the stop sign
Oh,
or
yeah,
something, or
definitely. Yeah,
that
no-
kind of thing? I don't know,
yeah.
can we?
Don't park beyond this point.
Yeah, that's the typical.
Well, we also passed an ordinance not too long ago about 15-minute parking in front of the liquor store, and then it closed, and then you open it up. So we've got an ordinance, and the signs, I believe we have the
I think we
signs.
still got the time, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how easy it is to know when the 15 minutes is up unless you
Yeah, you have
are
to
there with your,
technically have to chalk the tire and mark the time, and, yeah,
but,
it's a whole thing.
yeah, so it just might be a sign that says between this sign and the stop sign, no parking, or however
Yeah.
that would work, I don't know. Anybody else got any other questions for Brian?
I sent to Thomas, Chief Vendor, information about some body cam contacts, information, and then, so I'll send it to you, or you can get it from him, whatever. There's also a federal grant program for small town, urban, and tribal, municipalities that have grants, and they started back in 2021, I think. Anyway, they run them every year. We missed the window for 2024, so we hit 2025. We just have to have our application in by sometime before, I think, February, March of 2025.
Just taking a note, but I can work with him to
Yeah.
get that submitted. Thank you for that, that's helpful. Anything else for me?
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Leanne, you got an issue about T-shirts you said you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, yes. I would like to see us get some bright colored t-shirts, maybe like a neon green or something. I don't think orange. Orange to me is raised trash. For Pete and, gosh, I forgot his name. Jerry. So that they have either on their back or something that says Town of Clayton, so that while they're out putting mulch down around, people know that they are part of the Town of Clayton. I think we,
Bright enough colors that
Bright
nobody will
colors.
run them over.
right.
Because Jerry frequently wanders out in the street. He about got run over out here by D&D when he's filling a pothole in the other day. I was walking to work and I'm like, Jerry,
I might have to get him one of those flashing things on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think I want to go with the t-shirt.
well, and he had the truck with him, but the truck was parked off to the side of the road instead of in front of the pothole or behind the pothole, or I mean, give him some cover. He's gonna get squashed.
I can teach him some traffic safety stuff if we need to.
He's just like, I mean, you know, Jerry's Jerry. He just goes and gets it done. He doesn't think about what else is going on around him. He's just, yeah. So, but I like Leanne's idea. You know, a couple of nice T-shirts with their town.
I think
a
t-shirts would
T-shirt with the
probably be-
town's
Yeah,
Town of Clayton maintenance, Town of Clayton workers, Town of Clayton Supermen, whatever we want to say. I don't know, something that just kind of identifies them.
I'd say two or three for each person. That way they could have one to wash
And
and,
Pete's not out
yeah.
outside all the time.
Or you have to go to kids, you'll have to go to kids size.
Jerry's.
Oh, wait a minute, they got an unbuttoned too.
It's gonna be a,
Gonna be a crew neck. Crew neck. All right, Leanne, anything else besides the T-shirts? Okay. John, you got anything else?
Yeah, I got a couple things.
Okay.
On the tractor, of course, I think we'll have a little longer, because you gotta wait for the State Board of Accounts, but, Dick, which is Ted's son-in-law, on the tractor, we don't have to get sealed bids. We can get it, send it down to them, and they'll auction it off, and then,
The blue one. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and
I was right. I was not following which tractor you were talking
okay,
about.
and then,
So you want to get rid of the blue one?
yeah, and then
Okay.
they would, he says, they would, like, if the auction's on Friday, you would have a check on Monday for whatever it brought. But, I think that'd probably be the way to do it, instead of having sealed bids trying to buy it. Seems like every time we have a sealed bid for a piece of equipment here in town, you only have one or two persons, and they really bid low on it, and you don't get near the value.
Yeah, I think Graham said last month we were allowed to auction or
Yeah.
sell it at an auction.
Yeah, that's
So
what they did.
yeah, we
And
can
they
do
would
that.
come and get, they would come and get it. We wouldn't have to take it.
See, we got,
We have a little ceremony to send it on its way.
I'll take pictures.
Yeah.
But, 'cause he asked me about, they're getting ready to come up for their auction, but I don't think we got, you probably don't wanna get rid of it until you get the other one, I would say.
I don't think there's. I mean, I don't think there's a chance that the State Board of Accounts is going to say no. It's our money.
Yeah.
They just have to
they just have
stamp
to
it.
sell.
Right. They have a process, and just like they did with the Kubota, they make us hold our breath. And
Make you go through all
Yeah.
go through the hoops and then they say.
I don't think
"You
they're
can spend
they're
that
gonna.
money on
Yeah, they're not going to turn us down.
When is that auction coming up?
I think it's the end of this month.
Do we know how long it's gonna take to get the new tractor? I mean, the Kubota, it took us quite a while to get
Well,
it.
we can get the
Right.
tractor right
Because
now.
that was ordered.
Yeah.
We ordered that
Yes, sir.
from the factory.
Yeah, it's there
This,
now.
the tractor is sitting down there
Yeah,
on the
it's
lot.
there.
So we've
It's there. The only
Yeah.
thing they don't have is.
Pete and Jerry go down there and talk to it every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really, I'm just kidding.
Jerry's telling me what wonderful things it's gonna do.
So, would you want me to tell him to, they can come and get that and get it ready for their auction?
I mean, I think that would be appropriate. If we've got a plan on replacing it already, so yeah, I don't see a problem.
You got a set of forks and,
Yeah.
and a blade that goes with it.
Okay,
Okay, and, the other thing, the, house across from the park is getting to be
Trash.
quite a bit of trash up there anymore.
okay.
And, I think we need to
So we just
do something
need
about
to
that.
Same-
renew the letter.
Same- Yeah, the
So
same.
this, I mean, just the letter that you sent them with the ordinance violation and,
And-
okay.
And my third thing, the, Moser House up there on the north end of town it's got the signage on it or whatever. It almost looks like it needs to be condemned. It's fallen in pretty bad. Grass
How's
is
that?
north.
Doris Mosier's trailer. on the
No,
corner
no,
of-
north of there, the house around the corner and
Oh, the White House.
the White House and the.
Well, her name was
Looks like-
White. What was Betty?
Teresa White.
Teresa White.
and
Teresa
the-
White's house? Is that the
I
one where, that we boarded up 2 years
Yeah.
ago and,
Yeah,
because nobody was taking responsibility for it?
yeah. Just look into
Yeah,
it.
and I don't know, I mean, the process on condemning a property is pretty
Yeah.
extensive, but there are certainly things that we can go about, trying to find. I know Judy did some research on the title to find out ownership. So we can work on, maybe asking Graham to draft a formal letter from the town that this property needs to be, cleaned up, or else there'll be, the next steps would be, eminent domain, and, I mean, I don't know all the steps that we have to do that, but, I mean, it's been abandoned for many, many years.
Oh, yeah.
There's, I mean, as long as I've
Yeah.
lived here, it's been abandoned, and the reason we had to board it up is they were reporting that there were kids in there smoking things and doing stuff, so we boarded it up. Judy, I think, found the owner, so with her title search. Okay, well, we can start that process over again, get that information back to us so that we can, go to the next steps on what do we, and, when you look at it, the taxes are paid up on these properties, so somebody's paying taxes on them, so there's gotta be an owner somewhere. So we'll, okay, Dave? Jenny?
I do.
Okay.
I think we need to look into painting the front porch.
I was noticing that today as I walked up. Good idea. Let's paint
In
it.
fact, I think that one column, it might even need to be replaced,
Right,
it's
the
just
wood,
rotten.
wood's got wet,
Mhm,
I don't know, yeah, it probably does need replaced.
mhm. I need Leanne and David's driver's license, I need copies of them. And the cameras at the park,
We are scheduled 17th.
okay, cause they're not that one that's there is not working right now.
Oh,
It was
The
offline.
gazebo.
We've been offline for 2 or 3
Seen that
days.
today.
I bet Jerry's bumped that plug with the weed.
Sure why not?
That's a possibility.
Yeah, that's what it was for that.
And then, on George and Mindy, they've got 4 weeks paid vacation. I just wanted to make sure that, give them all that. That's all I have.
Man, that'd be a nice 4 weeks paid vacation. Cha-ching. All right.
Should be 2 weeks paid
All right. Graham, did you have anything else for us?
Oh,
over here? Okay.
I've got the Brenneman contracts, he came in and signed it, so. we
Mark?
need to sign.
Mark came in and signed it.
Signed it.
All right. Awesome. Very good. Okay. Consensus to adjourn.
Hold on,
Oh, do I have? Did you sign in?
I needed to, but I came late.
Oh.
I'm now.
Sign in.
I think she's getting special.
Can't imagine why that would be.
All right.
I know. She was busy today, wasn't she?
Yes. Well, hi, I'm Mitch Bignell, owner of Miss B's Teas, and also representing some of the businesses around town, predominantly the ones that were doing the Christmas in Clayton. We've been meeting, trying to get some other things going, and again, working on Christmas in Clayton. One of the things I just wanted to update you on is we will be working with the police department to help kind of provide PR and some support for music in the park. We wanted to see about making that more of an attended event so that people would really enjoy it. We would like to ask the town if it's all right if we have businesses if businesses would like to bring tables to set up their own like little booths at that event. We wouldn't want any charge any money or anything, but just some booths where they could advertise their businesses, and like let people know what's going on in town with some of the businesses that we do have. We also would like to see about helping out with, especially on this first one coming up in June, with some of the food, maybe a potluck or a pitch-in on that. Our way of thinking would be, we would like to see about using some of the budget from the music in the park to provide signage. And so like when you go to some of the other communities and there's some events that are going on in their parks, they have these signs around town that will say music in the park tonight. And so then we can just use them every music in the park night, where we can put them strategically around town to just again promote the event that we're having around town. I know as business owners we would like to try to keep townspeople aware of what's going on in our town, and we thought this would be one way that we could also help the town and help the police department in planning this event. So if that is something that is all right with you, we would like to kind of jump on, and we'll start with the PR and helping get this going.
It's okay with me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, excellent, thank you very much.
All right. Consensus to adjourn?
Yes.
All right, at 8:52, meeting adjourned.